G'day, welcome to another episode of Country Life on the Coast. My name is Sean, and on today's episode we're going to try out my new Ryobi Plunge Router. So this is Ryobi's 1600 watt plunge router. It's a corded one. I picked it up for $159. Comes with a 4-year warranty. For home use, I think it's a pretty good deal. So let's open it up, see what it comes with, and we'll give it a try. So it comes with its own carry bag. It's good we can store everything in here all the time. Well, we've taken everything out of the box and we'll just quickly go through what comes with it. So first thing, it comes with this carry bag. It's a great place to not just store it, but store everything else so we don't lose it. That's what I will be doing. It comes with this guide and a couple of bars that we use to attach to it so that when you want to do a straight cut or a straight router, you can attach that and just run along the edge of a piece of timber. Comes with, I'm assuming this is so you can connect up a vacuum to it, reduce dust. Just a piece of plastic, but could come in handy. Comes with this, which one of your bars can sit in here, and then you can route out a circle. So that's pretty cool. I will be using that in the future. It comes with one cutting head. So it comes with this adapter that you can run cutting bits, but a 6mm and a 12mm basically. So 1/2 inch and 1/4 inch, I think they are the two standard sizes. And this has the adapter, you can run either one. Another jig. Comes with a set of brushes as well. If you ever wear them out, it's good to have a set of these. Very easy to replace. So, but that will be in the future. Won't need to worry about that for a long time. Comes with a spanner to change the head and insert the cutting head on it. And that's basically it. A couple of screws as well for something which I don't know yet. As I said before, this is a plunge router. You can get smaller ones for trimming and everything, because for trimming, well, they sometimes call them trimmers as well. I want a bigger router just because a lot of the work I do is on hardwood, and sometimes I want to use it to actually cut through it. Plunge router is what you need. You need the power of that to do. And it's called a plunge router because it'll actually plunge through a piece of timber. So this here is adjustable. We can wind this up and down, and that will give us our measurement as to how far down that will go. This here adjusts in 3mm increments, and it sort of clicks in, so you can actually see if we lock this into place here, and then as we push down, this will just change the depth that we go down 3mm at a time, and you can go all the way then. So it appears to be a quite quick and easy, simple way of adjusting the heights or the depth that you're going to cut. Now, when you operate it, actually stand this side of it and push down. This side is the trigger, so push in and pull the trigger. And then when you go down, this lever will actually lock it down as well, so you don't get fatigued from having to hold it down at a correct depth. Have the height adjusted to the height that we want it to cut down to, and then push that down, lock that into position, and it stays there. So on this handle we have, it's like a variable speed drive of the motor as well. So you can increase the speed just by your thumb moving that up and down. So that's the main features of it. So the cutting blade It just comes with a plastic cover over it, so make sure you remove the plastic cover before you install it. And I'll try and do this so I can show you. So once we've just got that finger tight at the moment, we'll push this in and that actually locks that. So now we can use the spanner to do this up. Nice and tight. So that is now ready for use. Easy as that. So that's all the parts that came with this router. As you saw, it just comes with that one cutting head. Now once you get into routing, you're going to want to do more and do other things. They're a really versatile machine. And I don't know why, but I actually bought these before I bought a router. So you can buy heaps of different sorts of cutting heads for it. This was one that I found a while ago, and I knew I was going to get my router at some point, so I bought this first. So we're going to try out some of these pieces as well and try our router out. What I first might do is get some scrap timber and we'll do a couple of runs, see how it goes. And then I do want to trim up the edge of my workbench a little bit, and I'm going to use the router for that as well. So this is the size we use for when using a 6.3mm, and if you're using a 12.7, then you replace it with this one. So you can see the bigger size. So we're going to try out a round over bit, so that slides in there, and then we'll put this back up in here. Make sure you put the nut on first. Check that out. It's awesome. So I've just changed this bit over again. This one is a flush trim piece. So it's got a bearing at the bottom here. So that bearing, what I'm going to do is run along the edge of my bench top here. And so we'll actually trim this off. And it'll then be a flush fit to the edge of the main frame of the bench. So we'll see how this goes. This is all hardwood we're going to cut through here, so it's going to put a bit of load on it. We'll see how we go. That's awesome. So one of the other things that the Ryobi comes with is this guide. And so we're going to use that today just to see how it works and basically test it out. So I did have a look at the instructions and they're okay. It's all understanding instructions via pictures only. There's no text to it. So we're going to see how this goes. I think some words would actually be a bit more helpful than some of what I've seen here. Because what we have is we have this guide that piece of timber across. So the guide will run along here and we can set this so that if we wanted to have a piece routed out on the edge here, we can just set the distance and do that. So that's what we're going to actually give that a go today. The instructions show that we have this little piece here that you can add to the guide if required, and it's got this little wheel, and so it shows this going in here, which will basically mean that these move across and the wheel sits out there a little bit proud. And I'm not quite sure, I don't fully understand how this works. So if someone else has one of these and can tell me what the benefit of using that is, as opposed to just this running along the edge of the timber, put it in the comments below. But anyway, we're going to try it without the wheel at the moment. From what I can gather, really easy to install. So these metal bars, they're provided in the kit. Obviously we have two of them. They're about 380 millimeters long, and all we need to do is slide them in here, front and back, and then they'll slide in here onto our guide. Might just set that up on a piece of timber at the moment. And then you just need to measure from here to your cutter what distance you want. So we clamp those down tight. This is all unplugged at the moment too. Always safest to just, anytime you're playing around with this, before you use it, just turn the power off, unplug it. So now what we can do is I'll clamp this down and this should just run along the edge here. So there we go, that worked so well, really happy with that. Lovely cuts. And this one is the one I used that I did without actually clamping it down. So this was the first one I did where I clamped it down and I got as far as I could, and then the clamp was in the way, so I thought I'd just try it without clamping it. So the timber was able to stay down because I was pushing down on the router, and then I was just keeping pressure basically on the edge of the guide so that it just ran smoothly along the edge. Well, in this case it was this edge. But yeah, that's a lovely cut. So there's one more component that came with this kit, and that is this little tool here. And what this does is allows me to cut a circle. So that's another thing that we're going to try today. So what we do is we remove this guide, and this just slides on this one. We'll remove this bar, don't need that. And so how this is supposed to operate is we'll need to drill a small hole or an indentation where at the center of the circle, and then this will sit in that and basically just rotate around it. So from the point to the cutter, it's just under 400 millimeters, sort of around the 380 mark safely. So it's quite a large circle that we'll be able to cut. So I'll grab some timber that I've got set up ready for this, and I'm going to try and cut a circle, I think with about a 280 millimeter diameter. So we'll measure this out, set ourselves up, get this at the right depth we need, and give this a go. So we're all set up now to cut our circle out. We have set this, so we've set our little pointer here at 280 millimeters from the cutter. I've drilled just a small little hole, or just the start of a hole in the center here, just so that this point sits in there nicely, and hopefully it will stay there as we rotate this around. I've set my depth to where I want to go, so I'll go down, lock it off, and then we should be able to just rotate all the way around. So I think that's all we need to do. This is all hardwood timber, so it's going to be a good test for it to see how this goes. My main concern is that this little pointer won't stay right in the center. I've extended it a bit so that it should, and it sits down in the hole nicely. So now all we can do is try it, see how easy this works. So I'll plug the power in, put my safety glasses on and my earmuffs on, and we'll fire this up. So the first attempt, I'm going to call that a fail. One of the things that I wondered about was this center pin sort of moving as I went around, and that's definitely what happened. So what we've done is I've decided to remove that, and I've just I end up drilling a hole all the way through, and I've put a bolt through that. So I've just put this bolt through, we'll drill a hole straight through it, or straight through this timber, put the bolt through. So now that's on there, and then we should be able to just rotate this around, and hopefully it will cut and not do bad cuts like this. So we'll set up and we'll try again. Well, there we go, we did get around there and made our circle. I do need to give this a good sand down on the edges first before we do anything else with it. But the attachment to make circles with your Ryobi router, I'm not convinced what they provide is the best way. I'm sure there is actually other ways, because you don't want to have to drill a hole through it either, through your piece of material of everything. I did test it out pretty hard though, because this is hardwood. It is really solid, so it cut through it fine. Just keeping a nice circle was the hard bit. What I learned though is once I put this bolt through here and did it up, when I was using the router, I was just this hand sort of pushing it in, keeping it locked in to the guide, and as I went around, so it wasn't too bad after that. Sort of I learnt a bit as I went. Had to secure the piece better than what I first did as well. Just moving too much. So I think next time I do something like this, securing it really well, and then just keeping some force in there towards the center of the circle seemed to really help it. I'm sure though there are other or different methods of attaching it to your workpiece, so we might look at that for future jobs, but for the first use, not too bad. I'm okay with it. Well, there we have it. That's my first use of the Ryobi Plunge Router. To say I'm really happy with it. I knew it was going to trim up and smooth off the edges of the pine really easily. I wasn't quite sure how it would go with the hardwood, but it just did it effortlessly. A couple of things I really like about it is the variable speed drive when you first turn it on. So it just speeds up gradually and it's not an instant kick. So when I first turned it on, I was actually expecting that and sort of hanging on, expecting it to want to jump out of my hands almost, but no, the variable speed on it is fantastic and just comes up to speed. One thing I definitely will say is if you buy one, get yourself some extra bits as well. The tool, the cutting tool that it comes with, it worked really well, very happy with that, but that's all it does. And so when you want to do the rounded edges or anything else, you're going to need extra tools. So, which you can buy bits one at a time as well, but I like having it in a case, and getting a heap at once was the best way for me to do it. And just on a safety note, anytime I was using it, always wearing hearing protection and eye protection, that's sort of a given. And also anytime when I was changing the cutter on it, I always have them unplugged. Safest thing to do. You know, you do have to press 2 buttons to turn the thing on, but you don't want your hands anywhere near this when it's going, so just unplug it, be safe. So one of the things I did find was when removing the cutter after using it, it was sometimes really challenging or difficult to get out. One time I had to grab a pair of pliers and just grab the end of it and just sort of be able to wiggle it down. So I'm not sure if there's another trick. Anyway, we were able to change them without too much difficulty, but yeah, something that I noticed, as I said, after using it each time. Apart from that, I really like it. I'm going to be using this heaps. This is already one of these tools that I think I wish I had have bought a long time ago. But you'll see me using this in a future episode when we start building some other things. So stay tuned for that. But that's all we have for this episode. So thank you so much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button. That would be fantastic. And we'll catch you next time. God bless.